Hello, John. How are you
Hello,
today?
Piotr. Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And today we'll have a pleasure to speak with Mr. John Langford from Denmark. He's our partner, Facet5 partner from many years, very experienced individuals. And I will have some questions to you, John. And if it's okay for you to answer those questions, it will
Yeah,
be
sure.
my pleasure to interviewing you. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself, about your background. Could you tell us your story, how it started, how you started with Facet5, and what happened after that?
Yeah. Well, I started several years ago. I was looking for a trait-based personality assessment, and I had some requirements for what I was looking for, and I was eventually directed in the direction of Facet5 from people that thought that this would be a great tool for me to use. And I looked into Facet5 and the world that Facet5 could contribute to my practice and my work. And I fell in love with Facet5 immediately. So I brought that on board. And so my background is that I'm self-employed. I'm a partner at Facet5 now, and I work with leadership and teams in all kinds of branches and organizations. So it's both public sector and private sector. A lot of public sector right now, hospitals, daycare institutions, schools. All these kind of public sector institutions.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. And mm, what does Facet5 do better than and different from other personality assessments from your point of view? And how can you help companies, individuals, and public institutions, as you said, more than others? I mean, competitors.
Mm. I think what I like about Facet5 is that it's, of course, it's straight-based and it's strength-based. So what we're looking for is the strength in the personality, and I like the approach that strengths can be overplayed. So what happens when your strengths are overplayed, and what happens if your strengths is yet to discover? How could you bring out the potentials in the work you do as a leader or in teams? And I like that. I tend to think that people always like to express their thoughts on their own strengths, but also give their opinions on both what strengths are immediately obvious for the persons in the team, but also the strengths that your colleagues might not yet have discovered, but that you see also from knowing the reports of others.
Hmm.
So I like the strength-based focus, and I like what that offers as possibilities in working with, for example, team development.
Okay. Joe, I'm from Poland, you're from Danish, someone
Mhm.
else it's let's say from China or Tanzania. Is that true that deep down we are all people, we are all the same, or is that true from your experience that deep down we are totally different? What do you think here?
I think culture means a lot, and that's what I like about Facet5 too. That it brings in the culture of where you were raised and born, and so that makes a nice frame for talking about differences impact by the culture, but down to the bottom line, we are all the same people. And I experience that because I also work transnational and bring Danes to India for
Wow.
discovering how they meet challenges on a personal level. And what we always talk about when we wrap up our mindfulness retreats in India is that on the outer and in the culture, we seem to have different approaches, but on the inside, we're all the same. We cherish the same values. We think equally about how we can how we meet as persons each other, and and it's the same, like 10 goals we all have in mutual across cultures.
It's very interesting, you know, because I know that you've done some fantastic job for Facet5, and with Facet5, I mean your work with Spotlight and Buddhist mindset, I would say. So would you please tell us a little bit how you work with monks and about your story about Facet5 and especially, I mean, using Spotlight in this
Yes,
area?
sure, yeah. Well, there's some similarities between the Facet5 approach and the Buddhist philosophy. If I should explain in a short version, the essential of the Buddhist philosophy is that we all want to be free of suffering. And in order to be free of suffering, we have to gain some personal insights to know where your challenges are, how you are challenged in relationships, for example, how you are challenged in all the aspects that you meet the world with. So Spotlight and Facet5 really offers a GPS for the personal development and for looking out for what causes suffering to you as a person. So when we look at the risks to our strengths, that's really about what could be the causes of our suffering on a personal level. So when we use Facet5, we use that as a GPS for our retreat. And when we visit monks and lamas from the Buddhist society, we talk about the impressions that we get from our GPS, the Facet5 report, and we use that as an inspiration for asking questions to discover Buddhist philosophy as another way to see our challenges from than what we usually do from a Western perspective. And for example, what a theme that always occurs on our retreats is the fact that the people struggle with a lot of guilt in their life, and that is causing a great deal of suffering for Westerners to have guilt. And it's always an issue that comes up in the discussions with the high-standing lamas, for example, and their answer would almost every time be the same. Why are you talking about guilt? What is guilt? Because in our world we know karma. So in order to work with your karma, you have to look inside yourself and connect to your heart and connect your mind to your heart and your actions. So that's a nice guideline for working with the Facet5 in another perspective and taking it into action, because then it seems to be easier if you demineralize the fact of guilt. Then you don't have that as a barrier, so you can more easily work with the discovering new ways of strategies, new actions, because you're not holding back anything because you got rid of the guilt. Does that make sense?
That's fascinating, you know, because it's totally different from our approach. I mean, in Poland, and it's for me it's fascinating, and I can see what you mean, and what can I say? I'm very impressed. And tell us more, because we want to know your experience and also how you work with Facet5. You told me last time that you also have another, I would say, approach in the theater. And could you tell us a little bit more about that and how you use Facet5, because it's fascinating, and your ways of using. And in psychometrics, we often say in Poland that we don't have truly limits. The only limit is your imagination. So tell us a little bit about how you use Facet5 in a different, approach than we do.
Yeah, the common way of using psychometrics and coaching is to have a conversation, and that's fine. But if you want to make changes, and you need to connect your body to your mind, and conversations is somewhat more like mind to mind talk, and I like to internalize your strategies in body actions. So that's where the theater world comes in, because if you think yourself a new strategy, and that's the outcome of a conversation, then what you really need to try is to experiment with these strategies in action. So what I provide is a theater framework where you can, like a role play, experience what happens with your new strategy based on your inspiration from your Facet5 report. But what I also do is that each person participating in the role play knows about the strengths of this person experimenting with new strategies, and when he or she meets an obstacle, he and she can call for a team of 5, for example, co-players, to play the strengths that they know of the role-playing part, and give new inspiration on which strengths to bring in to the strategy that the person is experimenting with.
And how does
yeah
sorry, how does this look, step by step? Because for me it's fascinating, and I cannot imagine this, from the beginning to the end. How do you facilitate such a process from the beginning to the end? So for me, I'm very impressed, and this is so totally different.
Yeah. Well, it starts off with the kind of process that I would think that every practitioner would do. A conversation about your Facet5 report, what you like the best, with strengths you can recognize, but also a conversation of what the potentials do your Facet5 report show you. And then I would bring people to talk about situations in the work life that are challenging. And I would prefer that the talk would be on specific impressions that you would like to experiment with in different actions. So that would be the outline, I think. And then before that, we would have done a lot of theater work to connect the mind with the body, and to make people comfortable with the acting. And then we will set up the scene and talk about the scene, what is happening, what is the challenges, who are you in these challenges, what have you done before, what would you like to do as a new strategy, and how should we set up the scene, who would be in the play, with which characters do you need to play against. And then we will focus on which strengths would you like to bring in to your new strategies, and which strengths would you like to be represented behind you when you do the role play. Which strengths would you like to bring in if you suddenly experience that the strategy that you chose as a new strategy wasn't efficient or could need some of your potentials in the strategy. And then you could either ask the team of, for example, 5 co-players to give advice. Try this because you haven't tried this strength. Try this because this is your potential. Or you can ask 1 or 2 of the co-players to play your part, to observe what happens when this person play your strengths into your strategy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in this. I mean, what's the where you are doing this theater show, because it's really in the theater or in a training room? And what about the technical side of this? I mean,
Yeah.
you are working with real actors or you are working with practitioners, because that could be a little bit different.
I'm working with teams, and it's not in a theater. It's
Okay.
it's at the work environment. Or it's in a you know, like a room in a hotel or whatever.
Okay.
So there's no requirements of where it should take place, and the role players, that's the team itself. So if it's a large group, I would bring in more actors, professional actors, to help me facilitate more than play. So that would be how I would facilitate the process.
That's really fascinating, and thank you for sharing your experience here. I wonder, let's change the subject. Which person has impressed you the most in your life and why?
Oh, wow. That's a big question, because there will be a lot of people that have impressed me through my life. But I think a life-changing experience was when I met one of the lineage holders in Buddhism, the 17th Karmapa Srini Ojin, and some people says that when the Dalai Lama is not here with us anymore, the leadership of the Tibetan community will shift to the Karmapa. I'm not so sure about that, but it was a life-changing experience to meet with His Holiness the Karmapa Srini Ojin.
Okay, thank you. And how did you start with meditation? Because last time when we were together in a room, you were running a meditation session, and I was an attendee, and it was phenomenal for me. And thanks to you, I started using Headspace. And for me, your voice is very, very calm and I was relaxed. And you know what you are doing, truly speaking. And I cannot say that it's very often situation for me. So thank you for inviting me to this journey. And how did you start with meditation?
Oh, I started with that as a young man. Both because I could sense that meditation was an effective tool for me in my life, but also because the root of the meditation was an inspiring environment to be in. So that was why I took it up. And after that, I've practiced meditation for several years, of course, and then I became a mindfulness instructor, and have been using the more Western approach to meditation in my professional work.
Okay, thank you. And what's the most valuable piece of information you have ever received from your coach or mentor, someone who you admire?
I think to be true to yourself. What was an advice I got in an early stage when I became self-employed. Be true to yourself. Look for fun. Always have fun in what you do, because it will always be serious matter. So always look for what makes you happy, what's fun to do. So I think that's the most important. And sometimes that means that I would take on an offer to do something without really thinking about, is there any money in it? Because if it's fun, I'll do it anyway. And
That's true.
it gives me something else than money that is as valuable as an income in money would be.
Yeah. So you mean more transformational approach, not transactional, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's true. We all know that a person, let's say from Poland, can learn French, or a person from Italy can learn English, for example. But I wonder, can one personality learn from another personality? Is that really possible? What do you think?
No, I think we can be inspired by other people's personality, but I don't think we can take over another personality as we grow older. And of course, I'm older than you, so I have experienced a lot. But we tend to, get inspired from personality of people we meet, and that could change our strategies in life. But deep down, I'm still the same traits. I have the same personality as I ever had. But I know that there's some research being done in neuropsychology that comes up with some different approaches to how stable personality is, and it modifies what we used to say, that the personality doesn't change through the life. It seems that after you are 50 years old, some things might change in your personality. I'm not sure about that, but it's an interesting study that
Very interesting.
that could be a part of an answer to your question too. But,
Okay. Thank you. And what one final advice would you give to someone who wants to start using psychometrics or personality assessments in his or her business?
I think the most important thing is to see Facet5 and the reports as an inspiration for how you could work creatively with team development, and not only relying on the pages in the report, but use it as a base for experimenting with the different processes, approaches to how you can work with being a better leader, and how you can work in different ways with experimenting on new strategies in your life. So rather than having a conversation on what words are in the papers, use it as inspiration for facilitating interesting processes with people.
Well, thank you. That was phenomenal answer and phenomenal tips for us. Thank you for sharing this. And thank you for this conversation. It was very valuable for me, and I learned a lot. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and ways of using Facet5. I'm sure people will get tons of notes from this conversation. Thank you for that, and have a nice day, John. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.